Welcome to another episode, everyone. Please subscribe to the channel if you have not done so. Ian Huntley is dead. He was brutally attacked in prison and deleted. This was the third attempt on his life. Ian Huntley is, of course, the individual convicted of killing two 10-year-old girls, I believe, back in 2002. In fact, the whole country hated him. His whole country, England, I believe, hated his guts, and people are now celebrating his death. Even his mother and sister were rejoicing at the news that he did not make it. He went to the hospital after being hit upside the head by another inmate, and he died in the hospital. Again, this was his third attempt on his life. Let's get into the story of Ian Huntley and his dastardly, gruesome crimes. Ian Huntley's dead now, attacked in prison and killed for killing these two little girls. I'll see you in hell, Ian Huntley. I'll see your ass in hell.
Ian Huntley entered Britain's prison system in 2003 as the most hated man in the country. The crimes that put him there shocked the entire nation, and that nation's rage followed him through every cell block, every transfer, every wing he was ever moved to. Another inmate threw boiling water at him during an attack. He was attacked with a homemade weapon that left him seriously injured. 2 attempts to take his own life. And then, on a February morning in 2026, inside a maximum security prison workshop, he was violently assaulted with a metal bar. This video is going to walk you through everything. The attacks that tracked him across the system. The man responsible for the final attack. And the question that refuses to go away: how did all of this happen inside one of the country's most secure facilities?
No one cares how it happened. We're just glad that it did at the end of the day. And I'm assuming this man was in protective custody. I don't know how it works there in Britain, but here in the States, that's how it would have been. I'm assuming he was in protective custody based on the crimes that he was charged with and convicted of. There's no way he can walk the main line. Being general population, he wouldn't have lasted one day. This here's evidence that even there in protective custody, one can lose his life, particularly for a crime like this. There are people in protective custody who are in there for snitching or what have you, but they still don't agree with this sort of stuff. With this kind of crime, you will still be attacked and deleted.
Before we get into the attacks, you need to know why so many people wanted this man dead. In August 2002, Ian Huntley, a school caretaker in the small town of Soham, Cambridgeshire, murdered 2 10-year-old girls named Holly Wells and Jessica Chapman. He killed them inside his home, disposed of their bodies in a remote ditch, and then stood in front of television cameras playing the role of a devastated neighbor while a nation searched for 2 children he already knew were gone. In December 2003, he was convicted of both murders at the Old Bailey and sentenced to 2 life terms, with a minimum of 40 years before he could even apply for parole. He would not be eligible until 2042. The judge made it clear there was no realistic expectation that Huntley would ever walk free. That name, that face, and what he had done followed him into every prison he was ever placed in. Within the prison system, there is an informal but well-understood hierarchy. At the very bottom of it sit those convicted of crimes against children. That is not a rule written down anywhere. It is simply the reality of how prison culture operates, and it means that child killers enter the system with a target already attached to them. For Huntley, that target was larger than almost any other prisoner in the country.
Yes, and this happens everywhere in every country, in every state. If you're in there for such a crime as taking out a child, yeah, your days are numbered. I don't know how he was able to survive for that long, considering he's been in there since 2003. However, apparently, again, he was in protective custody. So that's how he was able to survive, but it's only a matter of time. And then there were other attempts on his life, as we just heard, but he was able to survive those attempts. But he was not able to survive this one, as were not those little girls. Oh well, too bad for this guy.
Face had been on every television screen in Britain. His name was synonymous with betrayal. A man trusted enough to work inside a school community. A man who had stood beside grieving families and looked cameras in the eye while knowing exactly what he had done. Prisoners are aware of who they are sharing a facility with. They read, they watch the news, they talk. And from the moment Huntley arrived inside the system, other inmates knew precisely who he was and what he had done. Being housed, eating, or working anywhere near him became, for some, a point of principle. Prison staff moved Huntley regularly in attempts to manage the danger around him. But transfers do not erase reputations. They simply deliver that reputation to a new audience. In 2018, leaked recordings captured Huntley in conversation with a friend. After 15 years of insisting both deaths were accidental, he finally admitted he had deliberately killed Jessica Chapman to stop her from raising the alarm. The Wells family dismissed the claim without ceremony. They had never believed a word he said. In the years leading up to 2026, sources close to the prison described a man in visible mental decline. Huntley had reportedly become convinced his food was being contaminated. He had stopped eating meals from the prison kitchen entirely, surviving on items he bought from the canteen himself, the only things he trusted. The composed figure who had faced television cameras in Soham was long gone. In 2005, while being held at HMP Wakefield, one of Britain's most secure Category A facilities, Huntley was approached by a fellow inmate named Mark Hobson. Hobson, himself serving time for a double murder, delivered a single, sudden attack, boiling water, thrown directly over Huntley's body. There was no warning, no altercation beforehand. Hobson simply got close enough and acted. Huntley suffered serious burns and required medical treatment. He survived, but what generated a second wave of public anger was what came next. Huntley applied for compensation over the injuries he had sustained. The man who had taken 2 children's lives was seeking financial redress from the state for what had been done to him behind bars. The application went nowhere of real significance, but the act of making it, the framing of himself as a victim, earned him fresh contempt from both the public and fellow inmates.
Yes, that's going to have people despising you. The fact that you're trying to sue because you had hot water thrown on you when you done took 2 little precious 10-year-old girls' lives in the most sickening way and denied it and played in front of the cameras, played in these little girls' mothers' and fathers' faces as if you were not the culprit and the entire time you were complicit. A sick individual indeed. And yes, filing a lawsuit in that sort of predicament is going to draw the ire of everyone inside of that system. They were already looking to end him. And then when you file this lawsuit, well, yeah, your days are certainly numbered, my guy.
Would not be the last time he took that approach. By 2008, Huntley had been transferred to HMP Franklin in County Durham. Franklin is a maximum security prison that houses some of the most dangerous convicted criminals in England and Wales. Inside the system, it carries a blunt, informal nickname, Monster Mansion. The transfer did not make Huntley safer. On the 21st of March, 2010, a convicted armed robber named Damien Fowkes got close enough to carry out what many had discussed but few had managed. Using a homemade blade, Fowkes slashed the left side of Huntley's neck, a serious neck injury that required extensive medical treatment and more than 20 stitches. 21 stitches were required to close it. As prison officers moved in to restrain him, Fowkes turned and asked a single question. "Is he dead? I hope so." He later told authorities he had considered Huntley a notorious child killer and expressed no regret whatsoever for what he had done. Huntley survived. And once again, he applied for compensation, this time reportedly seeking £20,000 for his injuries. The public reaction was exactly what it had been 5 years earlier. But the message from inside Franklin was also clear. Despite close monitoring, regular movement between wings, and ongoing observation, the danger around Huntley was not being reduced. It was a building. In the days leading up to the 26th of February 2026, something happened inside Franklin that shifted the atmosphere on Huntley's wing sharply. He was seen wearing a Manchester United shirt. To anyone outside the prison walls, that might seem like a minor detail. Inside, it was anything but. The image of Holly Wells and Jessica Chapman in their matching red Manchester United kits, taken on the last afternoon of their lives, is one of the most recognizable photographs in modern British criminal history. Every man in that prison knew it. The sight of Huntley wearing that shirt was experienced by other inmates, according to sources, as a provocation of the darkest kind. Tensions rose sharply. The mood on his wing shifted. 8 days before his death, Huntley wrote a letter to a female pen pal. He told her he was sorry for not writing sooner, that he had a lot on his mind lately. He would never write another letter. On the morning of Thursday, the 26th of February 2026, prisoners at Franklin were directed to the prison's workshop area for a waste management and recycling session. Huntley was among them, and in the recycling section of that workshop, a man named Anthony Russell made his move. Russell was 43 years old and serving a whole life tariff, the most severe sentence available under English law, meaning he would never be released under any circumstances. In 2021, he had been convicted of the murders of Julie Williams, 58, and her son David Williams, 32. He had also murdered Nicole McGregor, 31 weeks pregnant, raping her before killing her. Her body was later discovered in woodland near Leamington Spa. Anthony Russell had nothing to lose. He approached Huntley with a metal bar made from workshop materials, and he
Imagine the outrage. So this individual himself, Anthony Russell, is at least accused of rape, of SA, a pregnant woman, and then killing her. He killed the mother. He killed the mother's child, her 32-year-old son, allegedly, supposedly. This is what he's in prison for. He has life in prison without the possibility of parole. And then raped and deleted a pregnant woman. This is the individual who carried out the attack on Ian Huntley. This is the individual who said, "What you did is too much for me." Now, you know the crime that Ian Huntley committed was extremely gruesome. If someone who did the job is also convicted of something that can get him killed. In California, those crimes will get you killed, Anthony Russell. And yet, he's the one, even though he too is convicted of rape, that takes out Ian Huntley. Now, there's a difference, of course, I guess, what Ian Huntley is accused of, the girls were minors. They were children, 10 years old. Not even girls, they were children, 10 years old. Nevertheless, it's not going to be looked at much different behind those walls, what Anthony Russell did and what Ian Huntley did. Anthony Russell, you accused of multiple murders and then unaliving one of the victims who was pregnant, killing her and her child. And he killed children. It's a dog eat dog. It's a dog eat dog world up inside of that jailhouse. You just don't know who's going to get you. And everyone in there has their hands dirty in some sort of way. So the fact that this is the individual who ended up attacking him doesn't mean much because someone had to do it.
he attacked Huntley with the metal bar. Reports indicate Huntley was struck repeatedly during the assault. The assault was severe. By the time officers intervened, Huntley was unconscious and critically injured. As officers restrained Russell, he reportedly called out, "I've done it. I've killed him." The Great North Air Ambulance was scrambled. Given the severity of Huntley's condition, he was ultimately transported by road under armed guard to the Royal Victoria Infirmary in Newcastle. Inside the prison, according to sources, the workshop descended into chaos. Inmates reacting, officers scrambling, a full lockdown. Doctors at the Royal Victoria gave Huntley a 5% chance of survival. Brain scans revealed the full extent of the damage. Reports emerged that the direct blows had left him blind. He never regained consciousness. He was placed on life support while decisions about his care were made. Brain stem tests confirmed what the scans had already shown. By early March 2026, doctors assessed Huntley as being in a permanent vegetative state with no prospect of any recovery. On the 6th of March, the ventilator was switched off. On the morning of Saturday, the 7th of March 2026, Ian Kevin Huntley was confirmed dead at the Royal Victoria Infirmary in Newcastle. He was 52 years old. He had served just over 22 years of a minimum 40-year sentence. Legally, the next of kin decision about Huntley's life support should have fallen to his only daughter, Samantha Bryan, 27 years old. Samantha had not known who her father was until she was 14. She discovered the truth while working on a school crime project and recognized the name. She had reached out to Huntley at one point, looking for some kind of connection. He had rejected her. When news of the attack broke, Samantha spoke publicly. Her words were not measured. She said she believed there was a place in hell waiting for him. She said she thought he had got exactly what he deserved. She said she would like to shake the hand of the man who had done it. She wanted no grave, no marker, nothing in the world that acknowledged he had ever existed. The decision about switching off the ventilator ultimately did not fall to Samantha. It fell to Huntley's mother, Linda Richards, 71, who traveled from Lincolnshire to be at his bedside. She described him as unrecognizable, and she confided something that few parents should ever have to say out loud, that part of her hoped he would not recover. The death of Ian Huntley raised questions the prison system could not easily dismiss.
Part of her hope that he would not recover. This is his mother, who did go out there to see him, but made the statement that she hopes that he did not recover. I'm sure basing part of this statement on the fact that he had been attacked previously, at least twice, and had survived the attack. The boiling water and the inmate manufactured weapon. So she's hoping, because he's still alive at this time when she goes to see him, that he doesn't recover. And of course, this is his mother. And of course, his daughter was, well, I don't know, maybe she's just upset because she did reach out to him. She's saying that she hopes he doesn't have a grave, and that he deserves death. And she wants to shake the individual's hand that carried this out, as we all do. But nevertheless, she did contact him. I mean, that's her father or whatever, but it seems like it could be a situation where once he rejected her, then she really said, okay, what the heck with you. If he would not have rejected her, who knows? Perhaps they could have cultivated some sort of relationship. I don't know. Nevertheless, it's not a good thing when your own family, your daughter and your mother, individuals who have to be the closest to you in life, are saying that they're happy that you're dead, or that they don't want you to recover, or that they want to shake the hand of an individual that killed you, and you're their father and son. You are a horrific person if your family is talking about you like this. Hit him upside the head, as we just saw. He was brain dead. Went inside of that hospital, and he was leaking. Shut him off. They said he had a 5% chance to live before he had left the prison, the nurses and all that. His mother says that he was unrecognizable. She didn't even, if your mother can't recognize you, you're in bad shape. This is his mother. She couldn't even recognize him. Oh boy, went upside that head with that pipe. He was done.
Franklin is a category, a maximum security facility. It exists precisely to contain the most dangerous people in the country under the most controlled conditions the system can provide. And yet inside its workshop, a 3-foot metal bar had been fashioned, sharpened, and concealed without detection. A man known to be a constant and serious target had been placed in a shared working environment alongside one of the most dangerous prisoners in the country. Former prison governor Ian Atchison commented publicly that the safety failures at Franklin did not only endanger inmates, they endangered the uniformed officers managing extraordinary conditions on the public's behalf. Huntley was not an isolated case. In October 2025, convicted child sex offender Ian Watkins was murdered at HMP Wakefield. A month later, Cal Bevan, convicted of killing a toddler, was also killed there. By 2025, England and Wales had recorded 7 prison homicides in a single year, a significant rise on previous figures. The question that keeps returning is not a comfortable one. What obligation does the state carry toward the people it despises most?
None, and they don't care. The police probably set the whole thing up. You don't think the police could have stopped it? None of these attacks that this individual is incurring, Ian Huntley, having been attacked 3 different times, 3 brutal attacks on his life. The third, of course, coming to fruition. But the police could not have stopped this in any sort of way, prevented it, circumvented it from the beginning by isolating this individual. You know the whole prison wants him dead. Why is he in a workshop amongst other inmates to begin with? Well, because they don't care. They wanted him dead too. They could have stopped it. And then we just saw the other individual. Okay, they taking care of business out there in Britain. Shout out. The other dude, Watkins, Ian Watkins, the old Ians, they going through it. Ian Huntley, Ian Watkins, he got took out. a couple of months ago, and then they just said the other individual got took out for killing a toddler. So if you go in there for that sort of anything against a child, you're done. That's anywhere. That's in any prison, in any state, in any country. You go in there for a crime against a child. It's all bad. That's a universal law.
Practical failures here: improvised weapons inside a secure workshop, dangerous proximity, inadequate monitoring, demand answers that go well beyond any individual prisoner. Ian Huntley is gone. He died in a Newcastle hospital bed, on life support, after more than 2 decades of violence, isolation, and accumulating hatred inside a system that could never quite keep him safe. But he was never really the story, not the part that matters. The story is 2 girls in red Manchester United kits, beaming at a camera on a warm Sunday afternoon in August 2002. The story is Holly Wells and Jessica Chapman, 10 years old, best friends, gone on a summer evening simply trying to buy sweets. The failures that allowed Huntley to reach them led directly to reforms that have protected children in this country ever since. Enhanced criminal records checks, the Police National Database, the Independent Safeguarding Authority. Every child kept safe by those reforms carries an unknowing connection to what happened in Soham. That is the story. That has always been the story. Holly Wells, Jessica Chapman, they deserve to be remembered, not as the backdrop to the man who killed them, but as the reason any of this has ever mattered.
Right. And let's not lose sight of that. That was a nice way to end that there, narrator. Let's not forget about the victims. I'm not talking about Ian Huntley, the 2 10-year-old girls whose lives he took because he's a sick individual, or he was. There you have it. Rest in peace to those 2 little girls. There's some sick people in this world, clearly, do things that they should not do and do things against children. And those people need to be eliminated, and they're going to be. Once you go behind those walls, you hit prison, you're going to be taken out. So you all think about that before you commit these crimes. Your days are also numbered once you are caught and get locked up. They're going to attack you, brutalize you, and eventually kill you. Such are the rules in a maximum security prison. But again, in this case, perhaps he was not in a maximum security prison, just he was in protective custody. I'm rather sure there's no way he could have walked the main line with the whole institution lying in wait to attack him. He had him isolated with other individuals who were also isolated, but they were together. Someone had enough of his nonsense, even though these individuals too were in there for dastardly crimes. His killer, Anthony Sullivan, was in there for, as we just saw, a dastardly crime. But still found the need to take this individual out. Okay, well, we'll take it. Let me know what you think in the comments. 1 down. Who's next? It's not going to stop there. Who's next? Stay safe and stay free, people. Boy.